Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Warm welcomes, fifth graders all around the world. I am Mr. Hamid, and today we have a grammar lesson. Last lesson we were talking about adjectives, then we talked about order of adjectives, and today we'll be talking about comparative, and superlative adjectives. Comparative and superlative. We'll use this picture from an amazing website. It's www.woodwardenglish.com. Here, as you see in the title, we have comparative, and superlative. I want a smart student to tell me what is the root of this word. What is the root of this word? Yeah, I found it. Let me make it bold and write here. Compare. Amazing. So, with comparative, we'll compare. And when we compare, what shall we do? We'll compare between two similar things, 1 and 2. So, when we have two nouns or two pronouns and they are similar in one adjective, both are tall, or both are fat, or both are smart, or both are difficult, we want to compare between them, so we'll use comparative adjectives. Now, here the same. Who can tell me what is the root of this word? Smart students will say super, and that is super what you said. So here we have superlative, and the root of it is super. Now, what do we mean by like a super student? Like to say he's the super of this class. He's the super of this class means he's the best. So super means the best. But the idea is, when I have two, I will compare. When I have more than two, I will choose the super of them. When I have more than two, I will choose the super of them. So here with superlative, I will choose one of three or more. I will choose the super, the best of three or more nouns or pronouns. Let's read the examples and everything will be clear, inshallah. First example says, the dog is faster than the elephant. The dog is faster than the elephant. I'll ask many questions in regards to this sentence. Now, the first question says, what are the two things that I compare between here in this sentence? Smart students will say the dog and the elephant. So I have two things. And when I have two things, I will compare between them. So I will use the comparative form of adjective. The adjective was fast. The basic adjective is fast. And let's pronounce it many times. Fast. This kind of adjectives, they call it one syllable adjective. One syllable. What do I mean by one syllable? Means I read it once. There is no pause when I read it. I read it one time. I read it one voice. Like saying fast. I didn't say fast. I didn't divide it into 2 or 3 parts. I said only fast, one time. So it's one syllable. When I have one syllable adjective like fast, and I want to compare between two things, what do I have to do? I will add the suffix er it will be faster, and I will use the word than. So the sentence, the dog is faster than the elephant. So what did I do with this adjective, which is fast, which is one syllable adjective? And I want to compare because I have two things only. So I used ER with it, so it became faster, and I used than, faster than. The second sentence says, the horse is the fastest. The horse is the fastest. Now the question for 2 marks says, how many things do I have here? Or what are the things that I'm talking about here in this sentence? The horse is the fastest. The horse is the fastest. Actually, super students will say that I am talking about the 3 animals. That I'm talking about the 3 animals. The dog, the horse, and the elephant. So I have 3 things. That is why I didn't say the horse is faster than the dog and the elephant. No, I will choose the super among them. So here I chose the super and it was the horse. That is why I said the horse is the fastest. Fastest. So here I used what? The superlative form of the adjective fast. How do I use the superlative form? I use the before it, then I add est to the basic adjective when it's one syllable adjective like fast. So I said the horse is the fastest. In the third sentence, who can read? Yalla. Who can read? Yeah, you. Go ahead. Yeah, excellent. The horse. What about the horse? Yeah. The horse is bigger than the dog. The horse is bigger than the dog. Here it's like the first sentence. We've compared between 2 things. But the new idea here, the thing you should understand, is to double the last consonant of one syllable adjective when it's CVC. What are you talking about, teacher? Yeah. I mean, when the adjective is CVC, we should double the last C. Mister, are you talking Japanese? No, actually, I'm talking English. What do you mean by CVC? Look up and you'll understand, inshallah. When I have an adjective with CVC, what do I mean by this? I mean by the first C, I mean consonant. And this V means what? Who can tell? Excellent. Means vowel. Who can tell me what are the vowels? Amazing. A, E, I, O, U. And the last one, the C, the last C is what? Is consonant. Yeah? So when I have an adjective with consonant, vowel, consonants, and I want to add the ER or the EST, I should double the last consonant. Like here in big, I have, look at the color. Let me change the color and make it yellow. So I have the B, and this is C. And I have the I, and this is the what? The vowel, the V. And I have the G, which is the last consonant. So it's CVC. So I will double the last C, which is the last consonant. Then I will add ER, and I will do as I did in the first sentence. The fourth sentence says, the elephant is the heaviest. The heaviest. The heaviest means he's the fattest. Yeah, and they are right. But the question here is, what are the animals that I'm talking about in this sentence? Intelligent students will say that I'm talking about 3 of them. But I chose the super in regards to this adjective, which is heavy, I've chosen the super. I've chosen the super here, which is the elephant. That is why I said the elephant is the heaviest. Now here, the heaviest, it's exactly like the second sentence. I used the and I used est, but there is a tiny point here to be understood, which is the basic adjective here was heavy. Look, I'm writing here. It was heavy. It ends with Y. So what did I do with the Y? I changed it into I. That is it. And I added the est. So the elephant is the heaviest. So we can understand that we have a rule here says when the adjective ends with Y, we change the Y, then we add the ER or the EST. The last sentence says the dog is more energetic than the elephant. The dog is more energetic than the elephant. Let's read the adjective. It says energetic. 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 Actually, this adjective is 4 syllables. 4 syllables. So it's 4 syllables, means it's a long adjective. That is why it's very difficult to say I am comparing between two things the same, the dog and the elephant. So I will use comparative, but I can't use ER as I did in the first sentence. Why? Because I can't say the dog is energeticer than the elephant. Say it, energeticer, energeticer. It doesn't make sense. Yeah? That is why with long adjectives, I will use more before the adjective itself, then I will use than as I did in the first sentence, and this will be the comparative. So comparative with long adjectives like 3 syllables or more, I use more and I use than after it. So the dog is more energetic than the elephant. By these sentences, still we have 1 point to cover the 2 lessons of this week. I mean the 2 pages, 116 and 117. We need just to choose here, for example, we've talked about the 2 animals, the dog and the elephant. And we said that the dog is more energetic than the elephant. Now, if we want to choose the super in this adjective, which is energetic, we want to choose the super among the 3 animals. What shall we say? Yalla. Only genius students will answer this question. We'll say, yeah, I am here with you. Yalla. We'll say, oh, please. Yalla. The dog is, yalla, who can help, is the what? Now, we said when we use est, we will use the before the adjective. And here it's the same. We'll use the. So we said the dog is the what? Here we should change the color. The most. Then I use the adjective as it is, which is energetic. Energetic. So the sentence says the dog is the most energetic. Here, when I want to choose the super among 3 things, but the adjective is long adjective, energetic. Can I say the dog is the energeticest? the energeticest. It's somehow even difficult to say it. The dog is the energeticest. I don't know if I said it right or not. Energeticest doesn't make sense. It's very difficult to be said. So I will say the dog is the most energetic. So now we'll sum up by this schedule and we'll say the following. We have three forms of adjectives. We have the basic adjective, and this is what we talked about last times. And here we have the last two kinds, which are the comparative and the superlative. The comparative, we use it when we have two things, like here. When I have one syllable adjective like fast and young, fast and young. In comparative, what do? I'll add er to the adjective itself, and I will write after it than. I will use than. So it will be faster than, younger than. When it's one syllable ending in E, we used to add er or est for now we'll come to superlative, but we are now in comparative only. In comparative, we used to add er. Now I have the E with the word itself. So do I have to add er and have double E? Like here, nice. Then I'll put er and it will be nicer. Actually, no. I have the E at the end of the adjective, so I will add only er, and that's enough. Now, the same for the adjective strange, strange, strange. I will say stranger, and I added only er. When I have one syllable, consonant plus short vowel plus consonant, and this is what we call C, V, C, what do I have to do? I have to double the last C, then add er. So big will be bigger, and hot will be hotter. When I have two syllable adjectives ending in Y, like happy and crazy, I will change the Y into I, then I will add er. When I have two or more syllables, like we call them long adjectives like famous, famous, beautiful, 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 beautiful. So here I will not use er, I will use more. And with all, I should use than, and here the same, than. Easy. This is for comparative. For superlative, the same. When it's one syllable, I'll add est. Fast became the fastest, and I use the before it. The fastest. I added est, and I added est here to the second adjective, which is young. When the adjective ends with e, I add only st, because no need to double the e. When I have one syllable consonant with short vowel, then one consonant, CVC, I will use est after I double the last consonant. Then when it's two syllable adjective ending in Y, so I will change the Y into I, then I add est, est, and the I, as we said, instead of the Y. Then when I have a long adjective, I'll use the most, the most famous, and the most beautiful. This explanation is for the 2 pages 116 and 117 in McGraw-Hill grammar book. Let's go to the exercise itself and see that we will change many things, unfortunately, there in the rule, because if I didn't say that it's not correct and it's wrong, if I didn't say this, I will say that it's inaccurate. Let's go there and judge if I am right or not. Here we go. I hope that you still remember the details we explained in the previous picture. And let's read here and see how many things will change because they are inaccurate, as we said. We'll not say wrong, but we'll say inaccurate. They said comparative adjectives compare to nouns or pronouns, and that is super. Till now, it's super. Add er to most adjectives to compare two items. That is super. Excellent till now. Now let's come to superlative. They said superlative adjectives compare. We'll not say compare. We'll cross compare. You'll say, how do you dare crossing things from the book? I'll say cross it because you must be accurate. So we'll say superlative adjectives. We don't say compare, but we will say choose the super. Now here we said comparative, compare, and they compare. And that's great. So how do we say superlative, compare? We'll say choose the super. Let's continue. Superlative adjectives choose the super of more than two nouns or pronouns. So the rule will be superlative adjectives choose the super of more than two nouns. And instead of saying more than two, we can say three or more nouns or pronouns. So we'll say superlative adjectives choose the super of three or more nouns or pronouns. Add est to most adjectives to compare, as we said. We don't say compare, we say to choose the super. The super. Now, here then they made another mistake and they said to compare, and we'll say to choose the super of, they said two or more items. Now here they said when you compare more than two, means three and more. So how do you say two again? When it's two, we'll not use superlative. We'll go to comparative. So here we should cross the word two. So here we'll say three or more items. So the rule will be superlative adjectives choose the super of three or more nouns or pronouns. Add est to most adjectives to choose the super of three or more items. Drop the e, this is what we said in the picture before, in adjectives such as pale before adding er or est. Change the y to I in adjectives such as sunny. For one syllable adjectives such as red, double the final consonant. Here they said for one syllable adjectives, in addition to being one syllable, we should be accurate and write CVC. Adjectives such as red, double the final consonants. Now we'll do the exercise. We'll do the first ones inshallah and we'll keep the rest for you. The main question says, read each sentence, write the proper form of the adjective in parentheses on the line provided. My sentence number one says, my cousin, what about your cousin, is the funny person I know. My cousin is the, then the adjective funny person I know. Here you may understand it easily by 2 points. Now number one, you may ask yourself, is he talking about two things? So he's comparing between them, or he wants to choose the super among 3 or more. Now he said, my cousin is the, then he said, funny person I know. So do you think that he knows 2 persons in his life only? Or he knows more? Actually, he knows more. So he wants to choose the super among people he knows. Who's super in this adjective, which is funny? This is the first way you can understand the answer. The second one, and which is the easiest, that we have the before the space, we have the, and obviously when we have the, means that we should use it as superlative. So we have 2 points, as we said. Number 1, we ask ourselves, is he comparing between 2 persons or 2 things, or he's choosing the best or the super among 3 or more? And the answer will be that he's choosing the super. The other way is to look at what is before the space. If there was the, means that it's superlative. And if there was then in the sentence, means that it's what? Comparative. Excellent. So the adjective is funny, like honey, funny. But the problem is that it ends with Y. So how do I add the EST? I will add the EST now. But the question is, do I write it Y? Actually, no. I change it into I. So we said, my cousin, now the sentence will be, is the funniest person I know. Number 2, she's also a strong swimmer than I am. Now here the same. We can ask ourselves 2 questions. The first question says, is she now comparing between 2 persons, or she is choosing the super among 3 or more? You will say that she's comparing between 2 persons. She's comparing between she, which means her cousin, and I, which means herself. So she's comparing between herself and her cousin. So she and I, the 2 pronouns. So we are comparing here. The other way is to look at this word, which is than. Once I see than in the sentence, means that I should use the adjective in the comparative form. So here, what shall I write? I will write strong, strong, and I'll add ER, stronger, stronger, stronger. Now sentence number 3. She lives in a large town than ours. The same, I will ask, is she comparing between 2 things? Smart students will say yes. She's comparing between 2 cities. The city she lives in and the city her cousin lives in. So we have here, we're comparing between the 2 pronouns regarding the town. The town of the 2 pronouns. Her town and her cousin's town. Which one is larger? Large. We'll use large. Now large ends with E. Do I add another ER? No, I add only the R. Now and we said the other way, just by having than in the sentence, we know that we should use comparative. Number 4, her school has a big campus than we do. Her school has a big campus than we do. The same here, she's comparing between 2 campuses. The one of her cousin's school and the one of her school. Here she said we because she's talking about herself with friends. So she's comparing between the campuses of the 2 schools. So she's comparing. And we may use the other way and ask ourselves, what do we have here? We have than, so it's comparative. We write the adjective big, and when it's comparative, we'll add er. And if I am wrong, you may correct for me. Number 5 says, our school has the small stadium in the state. Our school has the small stadium in the state. Is she comparing or choosing the super? You will say she's choosing the super. This is number 1. Number 2, what do I have here? I have the before the adjective, so I will use the superlative form and I will write the adjective, which is small. Then I will add est. Super, it has to be super. And here is your duty. Questions from 6 to 10 to be done by my heroes. Let's go to next page, which talks about compare and contrast with more and most. And we said we use more and most when we have long adjectives. And this is a tiny idea. We shouldn't make a new video for it. Here we are, guys. Here they said use more in front of most long adjectives. Long adjectives when we what? When we compare, or choose the super actually when we compare. And here we'll correct the same, the rule itself. Use most in front of most long adjectives to compare more than 2. No, we'll cross all of this and we'll say to choose the super among 3 or more items. Now we're super. The question says, read each sentence, write the proper form of the adjective in parentheses on the line provided. Number 1 says, the mountain climbers club was planning its exciting trip yet. The adjective is, who can tell me what is it? Exciting. Exciting. 3 syllables. So it's a long adjective. And here they said, the mountain climbers club was planning its exciting trip yet. We'll ask ourselves, are they comparing between 2 trips, or they are talking about the super exciting trip? Actually, they are talking about the super exciting trip. So we'll say the mountain climbers club was planning its most exciting trip yet. Here, if you ask yourself the second question, which is, do we have the before the adjective, you will not find it, so you may choose another thing. But as I told you, we have 2 ways. If we couldn't use one of them, we will use the second, and it will work with us, inshallah. Number 2, it would certainly be a dangerous outing than their last one. So this one will be blah 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 dangerous than the last one. So are they comparing between 2 trips? Actually, they are comparing between 2 things. I mean 2 trips, this one and the last one. So I will use the comparative form. This is number 1. The way, number 2, what do I have here? I have that. So how do I use the comparative form with a word like dangerous, with an adjective like dangerous, which is a long adjective? Can I say dangerouser, dangerouser. Actually, no. I have to say more dangerous. Easy. Yeah, inshallah. Some climbers were worried than others. Some climbers were worried than others. So here we have two kinds of climbers. The first part of them were worried. The second part weren't. So I am comparing between the two kinds of climbers. This is number one. They are comparing. The second way I have than. So I will say more worried. Number four. The concerned club member of all asked many questions. The concerned club member of all asked many questions. Here what do I have? Of all. The concerned club member of all. I am talking about all the members in that club. Club member. So I am choosing the super among the members regarding the adjective which is concerned. This is number one. Number two, what do I have before it? I have the. So, with no room for doubt, I will use most. The most concerned. Super. Number five. The mountain had some of the icy slopes the group had seen. The mountain had some of the icy slopes the group had seen. Number one, is he comparing between two kinds of slopes here? Do you mean that the mountain club members saw only two kinds of slopes? Actually, no. They have seen many of slopes, but this is the super among them regarding the adjective icy. So now we'll use the superlative form. But let's look at the adjective. It's icy. I-C. I-C. Two syllables ending with Y. So what shall I do with it? Do I use the most icy or the iciest? Actually, I will use iciest because it's two syllables ending with Y. Now the question is, I have Y at the end. What shall I do with it? I will change it into I, so it will be iciest. This is number 5. Still we have 6 to 10. This is for my heroes. Assalamu alaikum.